Hey, good morning, Tomodachi. How are you guys doing? Hoping you're having a great day. So the champ is just checking in with you guys. This is the part one of the kickoff for the call to action from you Tomodachis out there. I finished the Blue-Eyed Samurai director's cut of the audiobook, and the first 10 chapters are up there. If you're interested in hearing the rest of the story, please become an Extreme Tomodachi. Subscribe to the patreon.com/The Tokyo Show and receive twice a month on the 10th and the 20th of the month, 2 new chapters. The whole book comes to a total of 30 chapters, and I think we're on chapter 15 or 16 on the Patreon site right now, so it's like about halfway through, which is really cool. Anyway, the deal is, and the project that we are going to work on together, I made this beautiful whiteboard over here. I'm not quite sure if you can see it, but it's part 2 of the Blue-Eyed Samurai. So, I can't spell. There, Samurai. Now, the book in part 1 finishes in 1994. And Sosai passes away. Then what happens? So, in this year, I remember being a very lost in translation kind of year because I owed a lot of money to the hombu and I had to work and pay it off. So 1994, I trained hard, worked hard, and fought in the Old Japan. So it finishes around here in the Old Japan. Now, what I want you Tomodachis to do is ask questions that are specific to the year 1994. Then, 1995 was a very interesting year for me. And I'll go into it in detail eventually when we take them into the chapters that we're going to go through in this book together. I go back to Denmark to fight and qualify in the World Tournament. And they canceled the tournament. And in exchange for that, my sensei was like, hey, why don't you fight in the European Heavyweight Championships? And I was like, oh my God, it's like way out of my league. What I thought. Long story short, on my mother's birthday, may she rest in peace, I actually become the European Heavyweight Champion as the first Danish guy to do that, and did it by knocking everybody out. It was pretty amazing. So European Championship, and then there is the World Championship at the end of the year. So 1995 was an epic year. I'd say these are definitely 3 to 4 chapters right there. Then comes 1996. 96, and I'm thinking just the Old Japan. I got to look back and see my fight record to figure out what I did exactly in 1996. But I feel like I broke something or I had an injury or it wasn't a really good year. 1997, what happens here is interesting. Francisco Filio makes a transition to the K1, and I get kind of pulled along on that one. There's also a World Championship, I think, weight tournament where Francisco Filio becomes the world champion in the weight category, and then Glaube Feitosa becomes second. I had the most epic battle with Feitosa. This is something we should definitely talk about. If you want to see me do fight comments on that one, I have made a fight talks about that on the Tokyo Show. You can just look for Nicholas Pettis versus Glaube Feitosa on Fight Talks, and you'll see what happens there. It is probably the most excruciating fight I've ever had in karate, and yeah, just thinking about it makes me gives me goosebumps kind of thing. And then, so the K1 years kind of start. I had an offer to go to Australia to open a dojo, but at the same time, K1 came and asked me if I wanted to fight professionally. So I think it's 1998. I have to go back and check that. But 1998, I think I do my K1 debut against Stefan Leko. Yep. So, Stefan Leko is a fantastic fighter, good friend of mine. But he was just way out of my league. I wasn't ready for it. I'd only done 2 months. So I think there's a whole chapter here. Then, sorry. Yeah, might not cut that out. That was just funny as hell. And then what happens is I get knocked out, and just K1 and Kyokushin were like, nah, he's not ready. So they send me back to America to train with Maurice Smith. I started with Maurice Smith up here in 98. Then comes 2 years blank up until year 2000, where they wouldn't let me fight because I just needed training. And during those years, I went to America and I lived and trained in a Muay Thai gym with Saksan Janjira. Over here is a funny story. While I was there, I fought against to become the K1 US champion. I forget his name, but I got a photo with him somewhere in an amateur fight, actually. And I fought under the name Janjira. So, yeah, there's definitely another chapter here in the book. 2000, I then come back and I fight my incredibly stupid fight against Jerome Le Banner. So we've got Le Banner here. And that kind of kickstarts me into going to Holland and training. So in 2001, I go to Holland and train for the first time. And this just like changes everything. I come back and in 2001, I become the K1 Japan Grand Prix champion by knocking out Musashi in an extension in the final, which was probably my finest moment in kickboxing history ever. Got the photo up there to prove it. So I think that this is where it comes to. Then I've had a couple of requests to say, well, what happens after that? Because I break my leg in 2002. So it could be interesting to really go deep dive into that. 2002, I break my leg. And then it takes me 3.5 years to get back into the ring, and actually 5 years to get back into the K1 ring. So yeah, I think it's in 2007 that I make my my comeback in K1 Hong Kong against Peter Arts. It was a fantastic fight. Also great stories about that. I think there's another chapter there. It's around 2008. It must be then that I fight Badahari. And then in 2009, I have my last fight in Japan. And I kind of end my career in Japan. I fight one more time in Hawaii with a torn ligament in my inner groin, which was a horrible fight. I would like to forget that and strike it from my record if I can, but you can't. So it is what it is. And then I retire from it and become a CrossFit coach. And there's also a long story that leads up to that. So we're probably going to go through that and say, okay, there's a whole bunch of years here, almost 15 years worth of content. What I would like you guys to do is, I'd like you guys to leave comments below, send in questions about specific things that happened during those years, deep dive into each chapter. And then what I want to do with you, Tomodachis, is actually build up the audiobook, which is going to be like an interview style where I just riff it off at the end of it. Maybe if we all think it's a great idea, we can put it into a physical copy of an actual transcribed book. So this is my project and my call to action for you Tomodachis out there. I think it's going to be great content for this year. I've also planned other things, so remember, just checking in here. Fight Talks. I have recovered a lot of the Samurai Spirit TV shows that I did with NHK World back in the day, and I'm going to see if I can go over them one by one and just explain it, do like Nicholas Pettis reacts to that stuff. So, this is it for today. I hope you guys are having a great day. Also, if you haven't checked it out, we've opened up a new channel called Junk Food Japan. Oh man, that thing just kicked off like crazy. A whole bunch of new Tomodachis out there. We got 8,000 subscribers in 2 days and almost 40,000 views. Man, if you haven't seen it, go over there and check it out. Subscribe to that channel too, Tomodachi, and I'll see you over there for some awesome Japanese food. This was the Tokyo Show.
Oh yeah. Hey guys, welcome to Junk Food Japan, the show that searches for the tastiest junk food all over the country. I'm Nicholas Pettis, been here for 30 years. Originally, I came to study karate. And then in 2001, I became the K1 Japan Grand Prix champion, which was kind of a big deal. Obviously, for me, in order to stay on top of my game, I've had to eat healthy foods all this time. But I actually have a guilty pleasure. I love Japanese junk food.